Hello there.
Oh, it's so much bigger.
I know. Welcome to the State of Decay 2 stream. I'm your host, Geoffrey Card. I'm a designer on State of Decay 2. But more importantly, we've got Dacey Willoughby here. She is a senior producer. Right over there. That is the camera.
Hello.
And she is going to be playing the game today. In fact, we'll just get right on into the gameplay. So Dacey has been with us for a long time. She is like I said, she is a producer. And what does a producer do exactly? We had folks asking in the pre-stream what producers actually do with their day.
Yes. Production varies from company to company. Here, I do a lot of different things, but it's the core of the work is kind of planning, scheduling, facilitating discussions and meetings, making sure that things are on track. But also the production team here kind of fills in gaps everywhere, and there are a lot of things, so it's kind of hard to explain.
Yeah. You're sort of the glue holding everybody else together, right?
Yeah.
A lot of the time we'll be in a meeting, and like say me and a UX designer and an artist and a programmer will all be in a meeting talking about a feature, and we'll realize, oh, this feature needs to change in some fundamental way, and that means it's going to take longer, or we're going to need to bring in another person, or something like that. And then as soon as we hit that point, we're like, we need to get a producer in here.
Yeah.
Because a producer is a person who understands, like my job as a designer is to understand how things work inside the game, how everything fits together, and try to make the right decisions about piecing all of that together. You as a producer, it's like you're stepped back a level and you're looking at the process of making the game and how it all fits together.
Yeah, definitely. And it goes from, we go from high level into low level stuff. So for example, outside of planning and tracking tasks and things like that, I also manage a lot of our outsourcing for the last game. So working with the vendors and kind of making sure we were ingesting the assets appropriately and that they were getting, just kind of keeping tabs on all of that. There's a juggernaut over here. I don't know if I should try and fight it. Oh, there's a screamer right there too.
Well, the screamer's definitely easier. We'll start there.
Oh, I shoved him. Yep.
Oh, that poor guy.
Oh, should I do it?
I think you should at least. You're so close to home. You can always run home and get help.
Okay. All right.
I think you should do it.
Going in.
Oh.
No!
No!
I am the worst at dodging too, so I'm probably. Let's just see if I can.
See, I actually sort of over dodge. My problem is with there's lots of games out there that where dodging actually costs you a resource, and you can't do an infinite amount of it. And ours is that way too, but stamina is such a general resource and it's so replenishable it doesn't feel the same way. But like, I play a demon hunter in Diablo 3, and dodging is like, it costs your slowest recharging resource. And so I just dodge like crazy, and then I run myself out of all of my resurces.
I see.
I'm such an over dodger.
Oh, my health is getting pretty low too. Go down, go down.
You got some
Come
bandages
on.
if you can
Go
like.
down.
No!
Can't use the bandage. You run away. Run faster.
Oh, you got it. You got it. No, it's fine.
I'm just walking.
He's just creeping on you.
Okay. I think I can do it here.
Yeah. No, this will be. Oh, hey. You did some important damage there. You staggered him a little bit. I love how. So your weapon is hitting like nowhere near his head. Oh, get him! Yes.
Got it. All right.
Nice.
I did it.
So I love how your weapon was actually going nowhere near his head most of the time, but his head would still react, and it made it feel like you were hitting him in the head, even though technically your blows weren't connecting.
Yeah.
It's like the magic of animation, just sort of suggesting things like that.
Awesome.
So let's see. So Asgard had a question earlier on before the stream about how does producing change as you move from one genre of game to another, like different types of games? Like, is it different to produce like a small scale indie game versus a big, huge budget game versus an online game and an offline game?
Yeah, I think again, like I said earlier, it varies from company to. Sorry, one sec. What am I looking for? Yellow. Okay. Yellow. Yes. It varies from company to company, and the size of the project and the company definitely matters. For example, I worked at Warner Brothers for a little while, which had a much bigger team, and my role was a little more siloed, and responsibilities were more focused on one aspect of the game versus, when you're working at a smaller studio on a smaller project, you tend to be more of a generalist and kind of dipping your toe in all of the pools.
The first studio I worked at was actually it was a fairly large studio, but it did like dozens of very small projects all at once.
Yeah.
And actually they didn't have, at least in most of the studio, they didn't even have full-time designers in a lot of places. That you'd have hybrid designer producers,
right,
where somebody's job was to both plan out what the work was going to look like, and then also plan out the resources and how they were going to build it.
Yeah, and certainly as you scale, typically as you scale into bigger companies, the processes change. A lot of smaller indie companies, the production processes are a lot looser, and as you grow into more, larger companies or more corporate companies, you have stricter kind of production processes that you follow, which is not a bad thing, especially when you grow.
Yeah, the more complex something gets, the more helpful it is to automate things and make it really obvious what to do at each step.
Right. You know what? I probably should have brought somebody with me, huh?
Possibly.
I'm gonna
whatever.
go fight a play cart. Maybe I'm gonna go. I need a vehicle.
Let's see here.
I'm gonna go all the way back.
Oh, that's
get
cool.
Another person. Where is the?
Oh, there's a
Or did I
bloater.
go
Careful.
already?
So Hansel Adola wants to know, as a producer, how much of your day-to-day is making sure Geoffrey is doing his job?
Well, it depends.
Is Geoffrey doing his job?
Yeah. Depends on how closely we're working together at the time. But I mean, it's as a producer, you definitely have to try and steer people in the right direction. Obviously, we don't have control over everything that people do, but we try to keep the best things for the project in mind all the time. So that does involve helping make decisions on what to and not to do.
Yeah, and there's different, depending on who it is that you've hired and what, their experience level, people might need more or less direction from production. I know I've worked at studios where, part of what they did was they would hire a large number of low experience talent to just get a lot of work done quickly, a lot of very simple work done quickly. And a lot of those cases, I imagine, a lot of production's job is just helping people sort of get used to having their, if you get a lot of first timers who've literally never done this job before, this is their first job out of college, it might feel a lot like there's a lot of babysitting going on, or a lot of here, this is what it's like to have a full-time professional position.
Yeah.
You have to come to work on time every day, and you have to do but
sometimes.
But here, I don't think it's like that. We've got everybody here feels like they're really serious veterans and professionals firing on all cylinders, and so that takes away that babysitting aspect of your job, and it lets you focus more, I imagine, on the higher level stuff.
Yeah, I would say that's pretty accurate.
Because I think well, I won't tell stories about some of the industry noobs I've worked with before, but anytime, and I gotta say, when I was brand new to the industry, I didn't, I came in from, I had been right in the middle of college, and I was a slacker college student, and I was just absolutely terrible at motivating myself to get any work done. But once I joined the game industry, I was like, I just had a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to work in my favorite chosen field. I am going to work my butt off because there's no way I'm going to lose this opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I had lost it in the first year, I probably never would have been able to come back, right? And so that's kind of the attitude you have to take. When you're brand new to the game industry, you do really have to show people that you are not just a creative person, not just a talented person. You have to show them you're a committed person, that they can depend on you. Being dependable is seriously, in my mind anyway, it's more important than everything else. You have to have that as a baseline. And then it's nice if you're really talented and visionary and clever. But there's a lot of, just day-to-day simple tasks that you can do if you're middling on everything else. But you have to absolutely be reliable.
Yep. Agreed.
So I'm glad that you definitely found our best car back at the base.
Yeah, I know, it's a miracle. Yeah. Lucky.
But no, I think that was preparation.
Oh no.
Oh no!
I didn't see that coming. Please flip over.
Oh, there's another car there. You're fine.
I like this car. I don't even know if I can get.
You can probably use the stuck command though. We'll see if you explode.
Wait first.
It's up on the D-pad. Yeah, down stuck at the bottom.
Does it move the car?
It does move the car. Yeah, that was a recent. It was like a 4.0 or something. I think it came in.
Oh,
we have to wait for a minute.
Go to the other side.
There you go.
Where did it end up? Oh.
Pretty convenient, right?
Which way did I come from?
And that time it didn't explode. The yellow cursor is going the other direction. But yeah, we did that once on the air with the with Jen and Sam over at Microsoft, and the car like exploded and shot up into the air as soon as it landed. So I'm glad that we lucked out and got the got the good solution.
Yeah, that works out great.
So Blaze Experience is suggesting that we should try using only crossbows.
I don't know if we have. I certainly don't have any of those equipped.
Yeah, we've got. You and I. So when we were fighting that plague heart when we were over doing the extra live stream, I think I had a crossbow. I don't know if we all were using only crossbows though. That particular time. So we did have some questions that were submitted prior to the stream. Some of these are for you. Some of these are more for me. I think this one. So. Let's see here. What's this guy's name? Leon Anagers wanted to know. He's seeing a lot of Zed Hunter missions in the game, because when the Zed Hunter update was released just a couple weeks ago, we released with it some missions to help highlight the content, let you get access to better crossbows and see the new consumables in action and stuff like that. But those missions, to make sure that you got to see them, we made them way more common than the other missions. And Leon is like, okay, I've seen the missions. That's enough. Can I get back to normal? And so yes, the next time we update the game, we are going to reshuffle the chances of missions again. So those missions should become more. They won't be taking over the mission system anymore. They'll just be normal missions, just like every other mission. They'll still show up, but they won't be as dominant. So if you are, if you feel like you're still missing a crossbow, or you haven't gotten the facility mod yet that lets you build the Bloodplague consumables, definitely try to take advantage of this time, because the next time we update the game, those will become less common. And we've got some other improvements to the way that certain missions fire and stuff too that should make Leon's situation a little better. So I should, by the way, give credit to Tom Gilchrist, because he suggested the name of this stream, which you should probably see on your screen, which is State of Dacey. That is not a typo. He heard that Dacey Willoughby was coming on, so it's like, obviously your name of your stream should be State of Dacey.
It's very clever.
Yes, it is very clever. We're very impressed. It's that kind of cleverness that that I don't know drives our game.
I broke my weapon, so I'm gonna go try and find another one.
So this is not the first time Dacey's name has actually been significant to State of Decay. Way back in State of Decay Lifeline, I don't know if you guys remember this. There were a lot of big ads on trucks scattered across the world of Lifeline, the world of the city of Danforth. And Brant Fitzgerald had a lot of fun sort of filling those with Easter eggs. And one of the Easter eggs, I put this on screen here, was Dacey's Central Wyoming Hardwood and Mercantile. So Dacey is a character in the game, just sort of a distant background, whoever this hardwood company was named after. There is a Dacey somewhere in the world of our game. It's your specialist for impossible to find building materials. Because I think at the time we were getting a lot of complaints from the community that the materials were just way too hard to find, and so Brant was trying to address that at the same time as putting Dacey in the game. Oh, speaking of Brant,
oh boy, special guest.
Brant is gracing us with his presence. So I think, yeah, this guy's on screen. You can come over and join us.
I don't really need to be on screen. I just wanted to come say hi to Dacey.
Hi, Brant.
So we just showed your lovely Dacey Easter egg on
nice.
on the screen. So yeah, there it is. So
that was from when that was before Dacey was
it was a long time. Yeah, it was a long time ago. So another question. Let's see here. So Judas Crimson asks, or declares, it would be great if AI partners were able to heal themselves. That is a very good point, and it's a comment that we've gotten a lot. And one of the things that's tough about that is it's really hard to figure out exactly where you draw the line, because on one side we've got players who are playing the game right now who see, they've got their followers are taking a lot of damage, they're getting hurt, and their followers have like 6 bandages in their inventory, and it's like, why aren't you using the bandages? Why don't you save yourself? But if we gave them the ability to use the bandages, we would have a whole group of other players who'd be like, why are you wasting bandages? I don't care if your health gets low. Stop wasting my valuable bandages. And so finding the exact right time for a character to use a valuable consumable to heal themselves it's a difficult challenge. It's more than simply, you know, sort of turning on or creating a new AI behavior. We'd have to figure out the exact circumstances under which they would use it, which is not saying we'll never do it, but it's a more complex problem to solve, because there's just a lot of design and user experience questions we'd have to answer before we could get there. So it is a thing that's sort of on our list. It's like we've got this list of issues we'd like to address, with things that came from the community highlighted specially, so we know that they're a high priority, and that is up there on the list. There's a lot of thought that needs to go into figuring out what to actually do. So I think it's easy for us to sort of like grab easier to solve problems and do them first, because we want to make a big, you know, impact on your experience and get things out there. And so it's easy for things like that to sort of fall behind a little bit, because when we don't know the obvious right answer, and if the best answer might involve a lot of different people working at the same time, like an AI programmer and a UX designer and you know, a lot of different folks, it'll be a little bit harder to get it done. Which is actually, you know, where people like Dacey come in, you know, is when we're trying to solve a problem and it needs, if it needs certain people to work on it, Dacey and her team are kind of they're the people who are the gatekeepers of knowing, you know, well, can we get a UX designer this month?
It's a very tricky puzzle to try and put together all the time.
I'd like to point out that don't ever meet Dacey in a dark alley, because the way she just used that knife for like the last 10 kills is really scary.
Yeah. So I accidentally set her up with a close combat specialist without a melee weapon. So, you know, she's getting experience for the guy, which is really nice. But, yeah. Miguel Lopez submitted the question, or the statement, I only want to recruit the technician. In 5.1, please, Undead Labs, let me recruit the technician. So this actually goes. So somebody else earlier on before the stream brought up the fact that we withdrew the army uniforms from some of the characters in the game, and the reason we withdrew the army uniforms was because we didn't have enough of a variety of characters, and so a lot of the characters we would generate who wanted an army uniform would fail to find a model that looked the way they needed to and also was wearing the army uniform, and that causes our character generator to fail and generate a random model for the character, which might be even more inappropriate. And so we pulled those characters out, we pulled those outfits out so that we wouldn't get those errors and get those kind of wrong characters into the game. And so the issue with the technician is, okay, the army model, we had maybe like, you know, a dozen or two of those. The technician, we literally have two. We only have two models for the technician. There's a male technician, there's a female technician, and that's it. And so if we were to make the technicians recruitable, we would need them to be, you know, we would need to be able to recruit a variety of them, a much wider variety of those models than we currently have available. And so again, so that would be a lot of work for the character team, which again is not saying we'll never do it.
Plus, the technician would be really tired from working in everyone's game.
Yeah, exactly. If we only did that one character, that'd be, you know, that'd be kind of overworked.
I have to go play in Geoffrey's game today. I can't be here.
But we have multiple people. Oh, what's going on? Oh, you just. Oh, you got it.
Oh. The right kind of party.
Oh wow, yeah.
Okay, this is where we all die. Everybody, watch close.
All right, I'm gonna go watch the stream from my desk. You guys have a great time.
Yeah, he doesn't want to be exposed to this carnage.
I just wanted to come say hi.
Oh well, the Juggernaut can't come inside. So let's see. Let's see if I die inside or outside.
Smells like a whole town.
This is gonna be great. But yeah, so we definitely have heard that is on our list of things that we know folks want. And so we'll see what's possible. You know, again, we got to solve, you know, not just the puzzle of how the features fit into the game, but also the puzzle of how the people get to spend the time working on the game. You've got pipe bombs, right?
Yes, I was just trying to get out of here.
Yeah, and not murder your friend.
Oh my gosh! No!
No, we'll start throwing them now. Just throw them like
soon.
crazy. Throw them like crazy.
It's too soon to die. Come on.
Oh, you're just too tired.
Keep working, NPC. Get in there. No!
Why are you out here?
I can't count on anybody. Okay.
Okay, you're gonna go down, but as soon as you go down, as soon as you get up again with more help, okay, just throw him, throw him.
Go. Why isn't it thrown?
Oh, it is throwing. It is throwing.
Did I throw it?
I think you might have thrown it. It might have like gone off in a corner. I think it went off in a corner.
Okay.
Hey. Oh, you're down on the ground. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, you're back. Fight in shape.
Throw it. Oh.
There we go. Yes.
Ooh,
Oh, you
it
did
die?
it! You did it! Yeah.
Oh, but I'm on fire.
And you're also on fire.
Get out of there.
It's okay.
Oh, I'm
Hey,
down.
hey. And you've also got blood plague,
Oh.
which is great.
All right, that wasn't so bad.
Yeah,
I only almost died.
You're only 2 hours from death.
Although I hear the Juggernaut.
Oh, but you got Joseon killed!
Oh no!
That's our leader! You got the leader
you
killed!
serious?
You got Joseon killed!
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I'm
No,
so
that's great. That's what this is about. This is what the State of Decay is all about.
Okay. Oh, was that a feral?
Oh, yes, it might have been. Looks like I can't tell. It might have been.
Tell either. All right, I'm gonna go outside and see if well, maybe I should heal first. That's probably a good idea.
So Trashzilla submitted a question earlier asking, are there any plans for character creation in the next State of Decay? We could probably definitively say there's almost zero plans nailed down in stone for the next State of Decay. We're still working very hard on figuring out the earliest decisions about that kind of thing. So we can't make any promises one way or the other on that. But we do know that that's a common request, and it's interesting too because one of the reasons. Are you just kind of stuck?
I don't know.
He's watching
I'm
you.
Thinking.
He's just looking at you like.
I wish I had
hey, come on out. You can't live in there
bomb.
forever.
I'm just gonna run. Oh, this guy.
Oh, you're gonna make it. You gotta make it. Oh yeah, make it to the car. Make it home.
the
Switch
car.
out. It'll be great.
I don't want to kill all of your community here.
No, that's fine. I have fought back from having like two characters left before.
That's
after
right,
the
because
stream.
you're good at this game. I forget.
I'm tolerable. We'll see how good I am in early 2019 when things happen.
Oh boy. Oh, okay.
But yeah, the issue with character creation, the thing that we'd have to sort of figure out how we wanted to solve, is the fact that permadeath and character creation don't play that nicely together, because if you've got a character that if you can just make whatever character you want whenever you want and start a new game, then losing the character to permadeath really loses a lot of its sting, right? Because you can oh well, I'll just make that same character again, and it doesn't really. I mean, the character got killed, but you can just sort of undo the whole thing. The fact that once a character gets killed, like Joseon, there's never going to be a character anywhere in anyone's game that's exactly like Joseon. We got him killed, and that's it. He's gone forever because there's no character creation, and so it's hard to give that up, right? So there might be some. So we just have to think about it, right? We'll have to figure out the right thing to do. Because we know that what people want to do with character creation is pretty legit, right? They want to be able to, say, make characters that remind them of their friends. They want to be able to make super cool characters that they feel like they can invest in more. Some people invest a lot more in characters they made themselves than in characters that they've found. And so there's what are you? What's that? Let me in. There's an open door right there.
Okay.
And so there's a lot of good reasons why people want that feature. And so what we'll need to do is weigh that very legitimate desire against all the extra challenges that come with it in a game like State of Decay. So Hansel Adola wants to know what you take the most pride in contributing to the State of Decay 2 team.
So this is interesting because I often ask people this same question when we're doing interviews, and I find it kind of hard to answer because I do so many different things. I don't have a specific feature that I work on that I complete,
right,
where
yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, I did all of the multiplayer coding and it was amazing.
Yeah.
I think for me, I take a lot of personal pride in just being part of a process and kind of helping see things through and things coming together. I think it's one of the most amazing things about product development or entertainment development is you have this broad idea in the beginning and then kind of seeing it go through the entire creation and implementation process and actually coming out the other side with something is a huge feat, and not only for me, but I think for the entire team. So I'm always very proud of that, and I know that's a big, broad, general thing, but
yeah, a lot of the time though, it's like somebody like me, all I can think about a lot of the time is the long list of millions of different things I want to do with the game, right? And it takes someone in your position, with your perspective, to help to basically force me to say, okay, no, of these 1,200 things I want to do, these are the 5 that are actually most important that we can actually get done and ship to people.
Right.
And so, but that's the thing where it's like, you don't, at the end, you don't feel like you get to take credit for the character system or something like that because you didn't design it. But there would be no character system if you hadn't been there providing the structure and the motivation and everything else. Like, you are an extremely important part of the process. And it's hard to just hold up something and say, look what I made.
Yeah,
the same way.
Exactly. Yep.
But yeah, this game would not exist if we did not have a very serious senior production team making it work. So tons and tons of props go to you and those like you. So Mike UK, has read a lot of stories about teams crunching for 100 hours a week and stuff like that, and wants to know, is it like that for us? And if not, like, what is it that we do to try to minimize it?
Yeah, so it's this company. We have not, we've had periods of crunching. Certainly not 100-hour weeks. I would doubt that anybody has done that here. We probably do 50, 60-hour weeks, and some people probably go above and beyond that without, anybody telling them to. But I think one of our company values is to try and, keep that to a minimum, and so we just try and be really thoughtful about how we schedule things and the amount of work that we're asking people to do to mitigate some of that risk of that happening, and we've been pretty successful. And it's great for quality of life. I think it's very important.
Yeah,
So.
And a lot of times, I mean, it really is kind of a design problem to solve a lot of the time. Like trying to make, try to figure out the right solution. Like how can we make a game that is just as satisfying as the dream ridiculous game in our head, but without having to work everyone to death? Because you can always come up with a solution that works everyone to death. That's easy. Coming up with a solution that does not work everyone to death is part of the challenge. But if you're successful at it, if you really pay attention to it, there usually is a solution. You just have to keep working at it and make that your goal. Because if you just run the team into the ground and nobody ever wants to work on the game again, then that's not good for the franchise. Even if you get one thing done within less time than you thought you could, long term, it still just wipes everybody out, and it's not good for the franchise. It's not good for the fans.
It's not good for your company. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not good for anybody. This guy's in rough shape. I'm just gonna go put gas in the car. Can I get gas out of here?
So. ML Maris is asking one of the hardest questions. I think there's a couple people who've asked similar ones too. Just what is our fondest dream? Like, what is the thing we would just love to make? Whether we can or not. What's the thing we would just love to accomplish? And
as a company?
As a company, yeah. And it's like some game or feature or something like that. And that's a really hard question to answer because I think everyone's got a different thing in mind.
Yeah.
Each person.
That is hard to answer. People have lots of dreams and desires, and we certainly have overall company goals, but we also have business goals, and there are a lot of things in that mix, and we have to consider a lot, like budgets and schedules, and all of that comes into play. So I think I don't have a specific answer that I would offer up to that.
Yeah, same here. I think we'd really like to make each time we make a game, we want it to be something that will find an audience, and so I guess and so a lot of times what we need to do as game developers is sort of maybe give up a little bit of the sort of the perfect, pristine vision we have in our head of the perfect game that we would like to play, and realize that the games that are worth making are the ones that a lot of people would like to play. And like if I made like the perfect game for me, but I'm the only one who likes it, well, that was neat, but what was the point? I can just imagine that game in my head. I can dream about that game, and that's fun. but we need to make games that can find an audience. And a lot of that, we've been trying to implement new production practices lately to try to bring more voices into each of the rooms, where we're making the meetings where we're making these decisions, not have it just be the singular vision of one person and they try to get everybody else on board, but actually getting like members of every discipline and like larger groups of people. You can't get 60 people together into a room to talk about something, but getting larger groups of people together and try to incorporate more perspectives into each of our decisions, because that puts us in a better position to actually make games that lots of people are going to like, and that lots of people are going to be able to enjoy. So that's not an answer to your question, but it's the closest
sorry,
you can
that's
get
a little
to.
bit of a smushy answer,
but yeah, I think you probably expected that.
Okay, I think this car is out of gas. Refuel.
So David Devine suggested an answer to the question of getting your followers to use consumables, saying that maybe what if you could just use consumables on them to heal them, that is one of the ideas we've had, and maybe that'll end up being the right answer, because we've done that with the technician in Daybreak. And so it seems theoretically like it could be possible. The Daybreak technician is special because they do hold still a lot, which makes it easier to interact with them. But that is a good idea, and so that's one of the ones that we're going to keep in mind as we're considering trying to solve that problem.
Oh
no!
Why did I open the door?
Get in!
No! Okay.
Oh, this is going to be a disaster.
Oh, no.
Oh, I'm looking forward to this.
Oh,
this is great. No, the
Can
feral.
I just let the feral kill me?
Yes, the feral is the best one to kill you.
Feral.
It's the most horrifying
He's not-
kill animations.
He's not targeted.
Oh,
is he?
we're gone. We're gone.
The color's in the way.
Oh, it's so dark. Can't even see. Trell is dead.
Trell, I killed 2 of your community.
No. That's fine. That's great. This is.
That means I have 1 more. Who do you want me to not use?
I really don't care. You can use anybody you want.
This one was the other.
She was fairly newish, I think. Yeah. Go ahead. Seriously, I don't care though. Grab anybody you want. I do remember, when we were promoting State of Decay Lifeline, which is that's the DLC that features your name on a truck. When we were promoting State of Decay Lifeline, we deliberately, when we were at PAX East, we deliberately got characters killed by ferals as much as we possibly could, because it would go on this giant screen outside of our booth, and anytime we got somebody killed with a feral, people would get into line to want to play the game where you got ripped in half by a feral.
Yes.
So
Excellent.
that's pretty fun.
All right, all of those zombies are still out here.
So Scarproof wants to know, what do I need to do to get an Easter egg in State of Decay? I think be good friends with Brant Fitzgerald. It's a good way to do it. He loves to sneak stuff like that in. It's the artists get a lot of opportunities to sneak stuff into our game. So do the designers. Though some of us have responsibilities that give us more access to Easter egg opportunities than others. But yeah, I think being an active member of the community really helps.
You can probably follow Brant on Twitter and bug him.
Get into a chat with him about tacos.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that would probably help. But we did have a fair number of. There were some folks who actually entered contests to get Easter eggs into State of Decay 2 during development. There's the weird nickname trait. If you get a character with the weird nickname trait, chances are, I'm pretty sure all of the nicknames associated with that are actually the forum handles of our community from State of Decay 1. So just being active in the community is a huge part of trying to getting involved with stuff like that. Noble might wants to know, could guns get unloaded when they go into the supply locker? We've been looking at that possibility. Either when they go in the supply locker, or just giving you, the original game had the ability to load a gun in the inventory. We've talked about maybe making them loadable and unloadable. Again, a lot of that just depends on what resources we get, for the team that is sustaining the game. Because we got at the studio, we're kind of divided into multiple teams, right? We got the teams that are working on future DLC, teams that are working on certain specific updates, and we got people who are working on far future stuff, and people that are working on sustaining the game as it is and working on patches and stuff like that. And so depending on who's available, who's doing what job at any given time, that kind of determines what features we're able to really focus fire on. And so, I've got some features that I would really love us to work on, but we haven't quite gotten time with the programmer that I need to make that happen. And so whenever I do, that's one of the ones that I want to focus on is that. But it's a big logistical puzzle.
What do I use for this crossbow?
Do you have, see here, Tyler's message is blocking the screen. I think it's at the top of the list.
Tyler?
Okay, yeah, go back to the top of the list. I think it's one of those.
One of these.
Oh, it's the one you have less of, the light
This
bolts.
one.
But you can manufacture more light bolts at the workshop. So you could grab those, and then you could also manufacture more. If you, I think the workshop is, I think it's out. Is it outside? I think it's outside. I think that's storage, and then you've got beds. This is all beds. So I think the workshop's just outside the door out here somewhere. Maybe the left?
Is it this? No.
I think so.
Oh,
yeah,
workshop,
yeah.
yeah.
I think it's damaged. I think you need to fix it first.
Oy.
I think there was probably a siege we weren't paying attention to at some
Okay,
point,
well,
either
this will
just
be
now
bad.
or before.
I'm just gonna go with what I have and see how long I can last.
Get 4. That's fine. It's okay.
That's how I like to do things. Where's the door? Yeah, it's dark out.
James, see here. Yeah, James Bensler says, one thing I've noticed in State of Decay 2 is that the firearms don't seem as loud as they were in the first game. Was that a purposeful decision or a limitation? Can it be tweaked? So it can be tweaked internally over here. And I think that's actually one of the dimensions we've been thinking about messing with when it comes to offering increased difficulty options. Is letting more zombies be attracted when you fire a gun. But largely one of the things that we knew when we were creating State of Decay 2 was that we were probably going to get a wider audience than we got for State of Decay 1, and a lot of people playing State of Decay 2 would have never played the first game and would be brand new to it. And we wanted them to have a good experience, and so we started the difficulty level tamped down a little bit because we felt like those people would get on board with the game more easily, have a better time. If the game wasn't punishing them quite so hard. But now that we've established that, we're right now, sometime in early 2019, we're planning to release an update to the game that gives you more difficulty options. So if you've been hoping for louder guns that attract more zombies, you'll probably get your opportunity there. No specific promises on that because we're still testing and tweaking exactly how we're editing the difficulty of the game. And so maybe that particular one will end up not making the cut. I'm not sure, but that is one of the things that we're considering.
Oh, pushing the wrong buttons. Oh, come on.
Oh no, this is great. This is fine. It's like a carnival ride. Like you're on a playground.
This is what I'm saying, you guys. I'm not. Oh, there we go.
There you go. Oh, you're fine. Yes, scrape those guys off.
Oh, come on. I was pushing forwards when I wanted to go backwards. All right, where is this person? Oh, there's a parallel bridge. Ooh, learn to drive. I'm just gonna get out of the car.
So, Remotely Peachy asks, may we see the possibility of disabled characters within future State of Decay games? So right now we've got a few characters who do have disabilities that come from their traits. We've got some folks that are nearsighted. We got some folks that are that have some minor disabilities. We got a character who can have one lung, for instance, and those are significant disabilities. But the thing we were not able to do is disabilities that would affect the animations of a character because we simply we were brushing right up against the top of our animation budgets, and there wasn't going to be the ability to, for instance, to handle someone, for instance, missing an arm or having limited mobility with their legs, that sort of thing. But that is something that we would like to be able to do. Representation is pretty important to us, and we especially, we've supported and been supported by organizations like I think Brant could remind me what the name of the. I'm drawing a blank on the name, but there's an organization supporting wounded veterans, for instance, that we have had relationship with, and we would love to be able to represent that kind of character in a game like this. So it's something we've got in mind. Depending on what disabilities you're talking about, some of them can be challenging to implement in a way that is satisfying and respectful and comes across really well. And so we're still looking for the right opportunities and right ways to do that. But I agree that is a goal that we should have, and it's one that we've got in mind.
Get in the car. Thank you.
UZ3LPR asks, will the new map, talking about the Trumbull Valley map that we've said that that we're planning on releasing sometime in 2019, Will it have the same bases, or will there be new bases? We are not at the point where we can announce any details about Trumbull Valley, and so if you have any questions about that, that's going to be the answer to it, is we don't have any details at all to share. I would definitely advise everybody, though, to sort of keep a very open mind about it. You know, Trumbull Valley, the original Trumbull Valley was built with a completely different engine for a different game, and no matter what, something about it is going to need to change. And so exactly what needs to change is still up in the air. There's a lot of decisions that still need to be made and a lot of work that needs to be done. But please do keep an open mind about you know, what the possibilities are, because there's no way that it's going to be the precise exact experience that you remember from State of Decay 1. It is a different game with its own situations, its own you know, different set of powers, but also limitations. And so we're gonna do our best to provide an experience that's satisfying and fun for nostalgic players and also fun for new players. But yeah, we're still working on exactly what that looks like. So Leon Anagers is bringing up the fact that the siege that happens with the bell tower at the church on the hill is a little different from the siege that happens at Whitney Field, and I think that's because Whitney Field, so the sieges that happen at those bases when you ring the dinner bell, when you use the attract the zombies action, they're very dependent on the geography of the map. Sieges are built around the geography of the bases, and Whitney Field being a much larger base, there's some more challenges getting to sieges to work the same way at that base. And so I think the ideal experience is the one that you have at the with the bell tower at the church on the hill in Cascade Hills. So I think we need to do some more work looking into what's going on at Whitney Field and why those sieges tend to be just have fewer zombies. It doesn't seem to be as satisfying. We need to put some work into figuring out why that is and working it out. It seems like it's probably a solvable problem. We need to look into it. So thanks for highlighting that. We'll make sure to sort of get that into our notes.
Oh, I threw a firework in there.
Perfect. Like, hey, there's fireworks in there. Delicious.
Go see zombies. Where did a beer go?
Oh, so Wonder just reminded me that the organization I was talking about wounded veterans is called Stack Up. So if you're interested in looking into what they do, that's the name of it. Oh, Brian also pointed out another thing. So another thing that could affect Whitney Field is the fact that depending on the size of the siege really depends on how much threat you have. So if your threat is maxed out, you're going to have a really big siege, and if your threat is just kind of fair to middling, you'll have a smaller siege. And so, combining the fact that Whitney Field does tend to have smaller sieges generally, and if you triggered the siege when your threat level is a little bit lower, those could combine to make a pretty small siege. And so, yeah. That's worth bearing in mind too.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. What's going on?
I think we're gonna have a siege at the base here.
Oh, sweet. 8 minutes. That's plenty of time. So actually, while you're headed back there, we should probably do our giveaway. So we've got these water bottles. There's not a lot of these left. If you haven't gotten one of these Clio drop water bottles, this might be one of your last times to get them. We're not making any more of them. We just got a box of them out there that Microsoft brought over with a few extras. But we're going to give away a couple of these, probably one on YouTube and one on Twitch. We would have given away one on Mixer, but Mixer wasn't working for us today, unfortunately. I think so, yeah. As far as I can tell, yep, it's still giving the blue dot of death. So, but we've got a let's see here. We've got a quiz question. So if you've been watching this stream the whole time, you probably know the answer to this question. So the question is, which State of Decay DLC prominently features Dacey's name? So if you were watching so far, you would have seen us talking about this. I've tried to bring it up a couple of different times. Which State of Decay DLC prominently features Dacey's name? So we'll leave that to you folks in the chat to figure out. But if you are one of the first people, like one of the first dozen or so on YouTube, or one of the first dozen or so on Twitch, who gets the right answer, you'll be basically entered into a drawing, and one of you at random is going to get a water bottle. So good luck. It looks like a lot of folks are getting the right answer. I appreciate folks paying attention. And yeah, so in just a couple minutes, we'll have some winners to announce, and that'll be cool. You'll get some water bottles. My daughter actually uses this water bottle at school, which makes me feel very proud. She's like flying the flag at State of Decay.
Okay, how can I get her ready here? Let's give her. Can I use one of these?
Oh yeah, go for it. Yeah,
Let's
go crazy.
do pyro launcher, and I need a melee weapon. Are there any in here?
They're not in this section. You have a tab over to the right. There you go.
Oh, let's do this.
Oh, it's damaged though.
Oh, is it happening already?
Oh, that guy got in. I don't know if he's part.
My base.
It does look like there's a couple of zombies in the base.
Sheesh.
So Nun Soup is wondering if we're ever going to add a melee weapon to the game that never ever breaks, and make it just a super rare drop. The challenge of that is that once you do get it, there's never a reason to use anything else, right? And that's kind of one of the reasons why weapons break. Part of it is just because, you know, realistically weapons would break. And we want this to be a game about, you know, at least in part about resource management and you know, deciding how to use, you know, very scant resources to keep your stuff up and running. But also, you know, if there's a chance that your you know, your Grillmeister spatula is going to break, then that encourages you to try other weapons, and it sort of lets you spread your attention out across all of the different, you know, features of the game. And it's hard for us to give up on that, you know, because we built all of these weapons to represent sort of an interesting smorgasbord, you know, an interesting array of different options with different pluses and minuses, and it really varies up the experience. And we would hate to sort of like undermine that, and by basically giving people sort of one gun or one melee weapon that just sort of rules them all and is clearly the best one to use. Because then it sort of means that, you know, every time you find another melee weapon, you're like, oh, well, this is garbage. and it sort of robs the game of a lot of the texture that is there.
Unless we take out some infestation.
Okay, so it looks like we've got a couple of winners picked out. So let's... Okay, so it looks like on Twitch, the winner of our trivia question... By the way, our trivia question, the answer was, you know, let me throw this thing up here again. Dacey's Easter egg. That appeared in State of Decay Lifeline. It looks like a lot of you were paying attention and a lot of you got the right answer. So the winner on Twitch is Andy T. Pims. So congratulations, Andy T. Pims. One of these is going to be yours.
Nice work.
And Black Doom 96, who was saying all of those kind things to us during the pre-stream,
Excellent.
gets to have a water bottle. So congratulations, Black Doom. Thanks for all of your support. And thanks for getting the question right. So... Hansel Adolo asks, Geoffrey, do your kids think your job is cool, or are you boring dad? All of the above. I think my kids think my job is cool, but that I am a boring dad. I think you can do both of those at once. I know at least one of my kids, my oldest daughter, does want to be like when people ask her what job she wants to do when she grows up. I love that you're using that entire thing for one screamer. I mean, it is dead.
Oh, now everybody's...
That is, oh my gosh! It's like, my brother, no! He just runs out to avenge the screamer. That's great. But yeah, like at least, you know, one of my kids has said that she wants to be a game developer when she gets older. She's taking coding classes and coding electives in middle school, and having a lot of fun with that. It is interesting seeing the stuff that she, you know, the programs they have, because there was a computer science course that taught you, you know, how to use BASIC and stuff like that when I was in middle school, and, you know, only the nerdiest kids took it, and it wasn't really considered a big important part of the curriculum. Now, like, every kid gets exposed to what coding is like, trying to find the next generation of people who would actually do it well and be good at it. And so my daughter and her friends, like, they'll go over to each other's houses and do their coding projects together, and it's pretty fun. But yeah, so she actually her latest coding project, they gave them this very simple scripting language that they could use to make a character dance, and so they could like choose a song, and then they get the character to dance to it. And so she chose, what's it called? She chose a Macklemore song. And then she got this, and during this part and she had all these different dance moves that she could get this little like Fox character to do, and there's this one part of the song where he starts rapping really, really fast, and so she got the character to go back and forth like this extremely quickly, and it was really funny. Like when we got to that point, so I was like, oh, she's doing creative things and thinking about the end user experience as she's entering numbers into this little script, and I was like, she's thinking like a game developer. It made me proud. So, she also just turned 13. I got my first teenager.
Oh my gosh,
which
Geoffrey.
is crazy.
Get ready.
I think she was like 7 when I joined this company, and now she's 13. It's just a completely night and day difference. It's crazy. So, we have got 10 minutes left. If anybody's got any last minute questions for Dacey, or a question for either of us, really.
Oh, our home status is hopeless.
Oh no, everyone's miserable. It's probably because we have so many dead characters. It's like they're all sad
boy.
because they're mourning. They're having a big funeral.
I'm gonna go find a juggernaut and see if I can get ripped in half.
So Derek Blaze wants to know, what is different about being a game producer versus producing in other media? Like, you know, if you've got like a movie producer, you kind of think you know what that job is. How different is that from being a game producer?
You know, I don't honestly know. I think there probably are a lot of parallels there, but the media and mediums are a little different, I think. But I don't really have any other experience other than being a game producer, so I can't,
same here.
I can't really. Oh God.
The word producer is so broad too, because you know folks in the movie business who do a lot of like deal making and work on the business end are called producers, but there's also like the line producer who knows how everyone does their jobs and is about coordinating like right there on the set what's going to happen moment to moment.
Yeah, and there are producers that are more have more creative positions, you know. That
like
really...
the executive producer of a TV show is the showrunner.
Yeah.
And they're 100% a creative, you know. And so it's such a broad term. It's hard to compare one producer to another. It's like comparing my job as a video game designer to an interior designer, which there are a lot of parallels. It's all about, you know, learning about human psychology and what people respond to and trying to create the right thing to interact with their responses. But that's a very broad, high-level definition of what design is.
Yeah.
And really the moment-to-moment skills of an interior designer are very different from the skills of like a systems designer in a video game.
Right, yeah.
So it is hard to compare all that stuff.
Yeah. But I think there are fundamental things that are the same. In some cases, like, you know, producers do a lot of coordinating and scheduling, and similar to some project management.
Yeah, I guess that's true, yeah. So Darkchild80 wants to know, since you guys are now under the Microsoft banner, do you plan to implement any stuff from other games like Gears of War or Halo or, you know, Warthog, sticky grenades, that kind of thing? So we actually do already have some Microsoft Easter eggs in the game right now. Like there's a game console facility mod that is an original Xbox. You can get. I think that there's a trait that is Halo Champion. There's a trait that is, you know, had LAN parties, which mentions in the description that you get friends over to play 4-player Gears on 4 different Xboxes. So because even before Microsoft bought us, they were our publisher, and so, you know, whenever we wanted to make a very specific video game reference in the game, we always made a reference to a Microsoft game, and sort of supporting our brothers and sisters under the Microsoft banner. So that's already there. We don't need to start doing that now. And we did I think add sticky grenades to the game for Daybreak, so that one already went in too. So, but we mostly want to. So somebody here said, Andy T. Pym says, nothing but Easter eggs, folks. Yeah, exactly. And I think somebody else said, please be. Oh yeah, Scarproof said, I hope not be original. And that's the thing. So Easter eggs are great, right? They're fun little in jokes. But you know, State of Decay is also its own world, right? Like there really isn't a role for the Master Chief to play in State of Decay. Just like there's not really much of a role for Sasquatch to play in Halo. You know, they just kind of don't really fit together. And so I don't see Microsoft intellectual properties whole hog coming in and just taking over State of Decay. We're going to be our own little world, right?
Here we go.
Okay, this is going to be our last hurrah. We got 6 minutes left.
Can I make it to number 3? 3 deaths. see if I...
Whoa.
Oh, you just hit me through.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah, sometimes the bugs go in your favor. Okay, one stagger.
Oh, gosh.
He's got to be getting close. Oh, but you got blood plague, and so you're not feeling your best right now anyway.
Oh, I just broke my weapon.
Oh, he's smacking
Should
you.
I just let him do it? Does everybody want to see this?
I mean, I think you should keep trying. I think that your death might be inevitable either way.
Can I make it? Oh, I
Here
was
we
trying.
go.
I was trying, and it still happened.
Here we go. I think
Done.
that was explosive too. Wow. I mean, if you're gonna die, go
Everybody-
whole hog.
Depressed morale. Okay. So I'm gonna choose a character and just kind of go hang out at the
Yeah.
base.
Just don't get Wexler killed. That's the main one because I had to pay good money for Wexler.
Okay.
He's
let's-
my
Toro.
Red Talon. Yeah,
Toro's the other
Toro's
one.
good.
I'll just hang out at the base.
Sounds good.
Look at all this wonderful art. Beautiful.
So Jack Smith wants to know, what are the chances of making outfits a loot item that can be equipped? That was actually one of our early plans, and we had to back out from it for various different reasons. Some of them technical, some of them design. But that is something we've talked about that maybe would have a role in a future version of State of Decay. It's hard to say, but yeah, that does make sense, right? Being able to swap your outfit out and find some really extra valuable suit of armor or something like that. Suit of armor sounds like maybe I'm talking something medieval that wouldn't fit into the world, but you know what I'm talking about. Maybe I could see that being a part of some iteration of the game sometime in the future. Maybe a hazmat suit like the one in State of Decay Breakdown. Something like that might be useful. But we definitely can't make any promises because, on a fundamental level right now, that isn't a part of the way the game works, and there would need to be some pretty fundamental changes to the way that our character models are handled in order to permit that. And so I don't see it sort of being patched in as a minor feature in this game, but it is something we should probably keep in mind for the future of the franchise. It might very well find a place sometime on down the line, but definitely no promises because it would be competing with a lot of other different concerns. So we've got 4 minutes left. One thing I do want to call out, by the way, is some of our community members have been running this a couple of events. We had Decay Fest, which was a celebration of the Zed Hunter update, which was last week. And the same folks, primarily Derek Blaze of the Blaze Experience podcast, has been coordinating an event called Undead Trials. And what this is it's basically it's sort of a meta game that you play with within your own game of State of Decay too. You try to play by a certain set of rules and reach certain goals and certain accomplishments, and they're doing it like kind of tournament style with people getting eliminated at each stage until finally only one greatest community survives on top. And so I'm very bad at explaining the rules of this thing, but today is the last day to sign up for it, so that is not the thing I meant to click. So go to that link right there. If you are interested in playing some competitive State of Decay 2 as part of this big community event, go to that link. Sign up today for the Undead Trials, and there will be a full explanation of how the game actually works when you go there. Like I said, I'm bad at explaining it. The Blaze Experience, who's sitting in our Twitch chat right now, he can also give you more details and explain this stuff to you. But definitely, if you're interested at all, go sign up for that. Today's the last day you can sign up. It's going to run from December 9th until I believe the 15th. So please go get involved in that. We love the events that members of our community have been organizing for the game, and we'd really love for as many people to participate as possible.
Geoffrey, I'm sorry. This guy might die too.
Oh no, that's fine. Seriously, the game, this community, this base that we're in is actually a little bit too small for my community. If you get enough people killed, I can disassemble some of my beds and use them for different facilities.
Get
So
out of here, Screamer. Come on.
there we go.
Oi.
Well, so whatever happens with this battle is probably gonna be the last event of the stream.
I think I will be okay, although my stamina is... It's going to be a slow fight.
So ML Maris, who highlights himself being one of our biggest Russian fans, says, "How do you feel when you go to sleep at night knowing how many State of Decay 2 fans love us all?"
Oh, it's wonderful. Warm and fuzzy. I sleep well every night.
And
have blissful dreams.
And it helps a lot to have you say things like that. Thank you guys so
Yes,
much for
thank you.
all the kind things you've been saying. And also, big thank you to Dacey for coming and playing the game with us today, making things very exciting for our community. And,
I try.
and answering our
We're
questions.
safe now. Yeah.
So, yeah, let me. Well, we'll just let the game keep going in the background. If that guy gets killed, that'll just totally be
Thanks,
fine.
Brant.
Oh, is Brant saying nice things? Oh yeah, and thanks Brant also for showing up and backing us up here. So let me switch back. What is the best one for? Oh, right here. Here we go. So yeah, so big thank you to Dacey for coming in today, and also for coming to our extra live stream that we did last week. You've been extremely helpful and very entertaining to watch.
Thank you. It's fun.
And also, just all the work you do, you and the whole production team, everything you do for us. I mean, the game is possible because of folks like Dacey making these things happen. So, with that, I guess it is 2:00, and I think that our Wonder also has to run from the chat right this second. So I guess we'll go. But please sign up for Undead Trials. Come see us every week. This happens every Wednesday, and we'd love to see you. And have a good holiday, everybody.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody.